the Redevelopment Commission meeting April 18, 2022. I'd like to start the evening with a roll call, please.
Deb Hutton here.
Deborah Meyerson here.
Randy Cassidy here.
Cindy Canardi here. Staff present.
John Zodi with hand.
Angela Van Roy with hand.
Larry Alvey.
Christina Finley, hand.
Jeff Underwood, Controller Treasurer.
Alex Crowley, Economics.
Bruce Peters is here with hand, sorry.
Oh, Brent's on. And Martha Street joined us, Christina. I don't know if you saw that.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you, everyone. Next item of business, reading of the minutes for April 14th, 2022. Do any commissioners have any questions or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Deb Hutton, I move to approve the minutes of April 4th, 2022.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Next item of business, examination of claims April 1st, 2022 for $607,365.99. Do any commissioners have any questions regarding this? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Deb Hutton, so motion to approve the claims of April 1st, 2022.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Approved unanimously. Next item of business, examination of payroll registers April 8th, 2022 for $34,420.90. Do any of the commissioners have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll move to approve the payroll registers of April 8th, 2022.
Deb Hutton, second.
First and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Next item of business, report of officers and committees. Is there a director's report?
There is, President. My audio, my mic is on here, but I'll speak loudly just in case. Just a couple of quick things. I do have one less roll call this meeting, and David Walter, as all of you know, passed away over the last weekend on April 10th, and so just want to make sure we acknowledge that publicly and remember David, and his services are this weekend on Saturday here in Bloomington at 2 o'clock at the funeral chapel on East 3rd there by the mall. So just want to remember David, and certainly served the city for a long time in this commission. Heard a proclamation from the mayor on April 4th, and so just want to take note of that, and that we will miss David, and not suffering anymore. I think it came faster than a lot of us thought, and I know a lot of you knew David a lot longer than I did, but certainly a great guy that we'll miss. The only other agenda item I have from my report is that our annual action plan from HUD will need to be revised. So we're proceeding to submit our action plan from the department to HUD as scheduled. It sort of works when Congress passes their budget. That's sort of your go to get this action plan moving and submitted within a certain period of time prior to the program year beginning on July 1st. So we were headed down that path, and then HUD said, stop, wait a minute, until you get your final dollar amounts, your allocation to the city for the CDBG and the home programs. We don't want you to submit it yet. So those numbers are coming out on May 13th. Then we will revise the plan and put it back up for public comment. It just finished public comment of 30 days last week. Actually, today. Today would be the 30th day, I think. Anyway, so we will revise that, put it back up, and basically for the month of June and July, somewhere around there, it'll be up for public comment again. So I just want to let anyone know who might be watching that the annual action plan is going to go through another phase here that we have been required to do by HUD. So that concludes my report.
The new thing they're doing, that they're making you wait for their actual real final amounts?
Yeah, it's hard. It's a good question, Commissioner. They like to have the exact amounts, and I think with the delay on when Congress was getting their stuff done, and we have estimates in there right now based on previous years, so they just said, go ahead and wait for those to come out on May 13th. and we'll have to get it submitted. It has to be submitted by July 13th, so we have like 2 months to get it all wrapped up. We'll be okay. So it was in pretty good shape, we think, headed into the public comment we had it up for the last 30 days, so we think we'll be okay. Yep, thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. Is there a legal report?
No report at this time, but I'm happy to answer any questions the commissioners may have.
All right, thank you. Is there a treasurer's report?
There is not, again, happy to answer questions.
All right, moving along. Business development updates. Anyone here for that?
I have one item on the agenda, which I'll cover then, but I did want to close the loop on something, which was that you'd given a right of entry to the Combine to do a drone show. And for those of you who were able to get out there and see it, it was really cool. First of all, the Combine was very successful this year, and as you know, that's a long-standing program in Bloomington. It was at the Mill, and I went to an afternoon session. It was really good, but this drone show was particularly fun and different, and I think it's the first time we've done it in Bloomington, so thank you for allowing them to do that, and I think it was a big success.
All right, thank you. All right, on to new business. First item is Resolution 22-23, approval of neighborhood improvement grant distribution. Who would like to speak to this?
I will, Angela Van Roy, Neighborhood Services Program Manager with HAND. Just to give you a little bit of background of our process, the HAND Neighborhood Improvement Grant Program received 3 applications for this funding round in 2022. 5-member council was convened to review applications. These members are Roy Ayton from the Engineering Department here with the city, Nate Nickel from Public Works, Deborah Meyerson, a member of the RDC, Sue Toohey, a member of the Crescent Bend Neighborhood Association, and Linda Woods, a member of the Eastern Heights Neighborhood Association. On Monday, April 11th, the council convened in a public meeting to hear applicant presentations, and on Wednesday, April 13th, the council members met to discuss projects and vote on funding recommendations, again in a public meeting. By unanimous vote, the following neighborhood projects are recommended to the RDC for funding. The first one is from the Arden Place Neighborhood Association. They have requested $9,000 from the city with a neighborhood match estimated to be $5,560, which is 62% of the ask. That's a total project budget of $14,560. The Arden Place Neighborhood Association is requesting funds to install standalone outdoor exercise equipment in Southeast Park that can be used by participants of different ages and fitness levels. The equipment will be installed along the main trail where it will be easily accessible. The council recommends this project for full funding at $9,000. The second proposal was from the Blue Ridge Neighborhood Association. They requested $6,000 from the city with a neighborhood match of 31% in the amount of $1,883.61 for a total project cost of $7,883.61. Blue Ridge is requesting funds to repair 8 decorative metal panels that are located at 2 entrances to their neighborhood from Dunn Street. There are 4 panels each at Clover Lane and at Kenwood. And so the council recommends this one also for full funding at $6,000. And our final applicant was from the Prospect Hill Neighborhood Association. They're requesting funds from the city in the amount of $6,551.74. Their neighborhood match is 34%, which comes to $2,227.46, and their total project cost is $8,779.20. The Prospect Hill Neighborhood Association requests funds for 20 street sign toppers, which will identify the neighborhood, a kiosk in Building Trades Park, where members of the public can post notices, 4 section signs for Rose Hill Cemetery, and 1 map sign for the cemetery. Again, the council recommends full funding at the level of $6,551.74. That is a grand total for the 2022 Neighborhood Improvement Grant funding cycle of $21,551.74. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
And all the question, I just want to say I really appreciate being able to participate in this round of the grant cycle. And it was really just great to see the neighborhoods coming out and showing what they can do for their neighborhoods. A lot of nice partnerships with other city departments and other community groups. And it was really a pleasure to see that and participate.
I would echo the aspect of the neighborhoods participating in that because they're not expecting the city to do it all. They're putting their money where their thoughts and hearts are. Question I have in regards to these ones where two of them involve maintenance that'll have to be occurred either by a public works department or by the parks department. Is that calculated in to,
Yeah, the parks,
so we don't
anything
get
that happens in the
degradation?
parks, those, that equipment will belong to the parks.
Okay.
So all of those are installed by the Parks Department. The one in particular, Art in Place with the fitness equipment, the actual fitness equipment that will go there has not yet been determined. That's gonna be happening along with Parks and a committee of 2 different neighborhoods that will come together to determine exactly what they want to put there. So that one we funded at at no more than 9,000. We're not quite sure exactly what the exact number will be. So yes, that always belongs to the Parks Department.
Parks.
The street sign toppers, I assume that's the other one you're thinking of, because they're on top of street signs.
And anything dealing with Rose Hill, of course, is
Yeah,
part
right.
of the city.
Parks, yeah, Parks is in control of the cemetery, so same thing.
Okay.
The street sign toppers are a little bit unique. There are many neighborhoods.
Oh, they're great.
Deb's neighborhood has them. Elm Heights has them, right? Yeah, there's a number of them that already have those. The way the Public Works Department handles those is the funding is sought by the neighborhood. The neighborhood purchases the signs are gifted to the city.
Okay.
The signs are installed by the neighborhood, but they are also responsible for maintenance. So installation and maintenance is a responsibility of the neighborhood. The city does not bear any responsibility. However, they are technically gifted to the city because by code, no
attached.
non-public sign can be in the right of way, right? So that it belongs to the city.
Okay.
But if anything needs to be repaired or replaced, the neighborhood will be responsible for it.
That works, thank you.
Thank you for that question.
All right.
I have a question, which really is the resolution, not the grants. And that is, in the resolution in line number 3, it says in the amount of $27,000, but in numbers, it's 30,000. So
Okay,
just
you know
not
what?
ensuring which you want there.
No, that's incorrect. Thank you for that. I don't know how I missed that. 30,000 was our total budget that we had to work with.
No more than.
Yes. And this is from last year.
Which
both
number do
missed
you like
that.
better?
Yeah.
Well, the total amount is 21,551.74. That's the amount you are actually voting on. 30,000 was the total budget we had to work with. I apologize, 27,000 was last year's number.
So
That was
neither
missed
number is
from-
correct.
Neither of those numbers is
And
correct.
the correct one is 21,000, whatever.
Yeah, 21,551.74. I apologize for that.
No, thank you.
Good catch.
All right, any other questions from the commissioners? Any comment from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on resolution 22-23.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-23 for the approval of the neighborhood improvement grants.
That's correct.
As corrected, thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item of business is resolution 22-24, approval of construction agreement for improvements along 17th Street between Walnut and Grant Street. Who would like to speak on behalf of this resolution?
Hello, I'm Roy Ayton. I'm with the City Engineering Department. So as you remember last meeting, Neil Copper came in and talked about 17th Street and how we divided it into 2 projects. And we have gone through and we have awarded through the Board of Public Works the east section of this project to Milestone Contractors. The project itself will construct a new multi-use path on the north side of the right-of-way, along with improvements to handicap ramps and then milling and resurfacing the road from Walnut to Grant Street this year. Construction will start around May 9th after the IU graduation and then completed hopefully by the time that the IU students come back. We built an incentive in the project this year trying to get the contractor to finish up work by the time the students returned. So we're hoping that that'll happen. The award amount, the low bidder on this was Milestone Contractors in the amount of $1,192,901.58. And we're asking for the funding so we can move forward with this construction project.
All right, thank you. Are there questions from the commissioners?
The money's already been allocated and reserved to do this.
Yeah, I think so. You went through an initial form, right? I think I understand your question,
Just asking,
Randy.
we've already
Yeah.
got the funds set up either through the federally funded.
Yeah, so this section here on the east, this is the locally funded section of it. There's the section on the west that's in a May letting through NDOT, and that one will have the federal funds and local funds involved in it. For this phase that we're coming to you tonight with is just 100% local funding.
So as you recall, the project review form is still combined for both of these projects, even though the construction and like the construction inspection, which is what you saw last time, have been split out. We could talk about in the future if we want to split out those project review forms. But yeah, it's been part of the budget. There was a slight increase because there's some efficiencies lost between splitting out the projects, but you saw that kind of last time. Those estimates were updated. Sorry about that.
No, thank you.
That works. That's one question I have.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Any comment from the public? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 22-24.
I'll make a motion to approve 21-24. Randy Cassidy. Oh, I'll get to that. Sorry.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item of business is Resolution 22-25, approval of lease of Trades District Garage, commercial/office space. Who'd like to speak about this one?
I will. But let me note first that whenever Randy was asking for about $1 million expenditure, he looked right at me, so I'm trying not to take offense at that. Look at Larry. So you may recall, I think we talked about this briefly, that we have an interested tenant in the garage space at the Trades District, which is great. It's great not only because it's a leasable space, it's also great because it's on the Trades District, and anything we can do to start to activate that, especially as we're coming out of the pandemic, I think is very helpful to the future development of the Trades District. So in this case, we have a commercial tenant who is, and we've run the numbers, and there's a good payback, but the basic terms of the lease are that it would be a 4-year lease with the option to exit the lease at the end of year 3, as long as the remaining year they cover half of the essentially the rent that they wouldn't consume. So that allows us to have a positive payback. The rents would start at $19 per square feet, and they would escalate at 2.5% each year. We would put in a tenant improvement allowance of up to $55 per square foot, and that's what we're paying back against, essentially, over time.
Okay, just to put it, so I don't forget it, it just says $55, so we need that per square foot written into this resolution.
Oh. Okay.
That's part of the whereas in the actual bottom section, the full amount of the tenant improvement is there, which is not to exceed $223,245, which comes out to $55 per square foot. We can amend it as well, but yeah, we can amend the 6 whereas, but the operative part of the resolution is correct. So.
And then the last kind of material term of the agreement is that they would, presumably with approval from this group and their approval, would sign the lease, would take on any residual interim costs of utilities, that sort of thing, and then when they move in, they would do the improvements, and then when they move in, they would then, that would effectively start the term of the 36 months or 48 months, whichever of the two they pursue. So that there'll be a lag between the moment of assuming control of the space and actually starting to pay the rent. So the last thing I would say is that this is not just any company. I mean, we've been trying to be selective about tenants in the Trades District, and this is a great potential tenant where it was a company that came out of the mill that's been acquired by an external company. And so, so it really sort of lends itself well to what we're trying to accomplish overall in the Trans District, which, as you all know, or many of you know, the RDC owns. So anyway, those are the broad terms. And then in terms of what is in the packet, you want to just talk, we've been trying to move quickly. So what you have, I think, in the packet is a draft, and that draft will be finalized and updated with any final changes to reflect what I've just gone through.
That's correct. And added to the, just to memorialize for the meeting, to added to the lease still needs to be the tenant improvement section. So we're still finalizing the terms of that. And if there was any material alteration from what Alex has just described in terms of difference in lease amount or a difference in the tenant improvement amount or some other material term, we would bring that all back to you all for specific approval. However, if those remain the same and we're just doing technical improvements to the lease, we would finalize that lease and then attach it to this resolution and present the finalized lease also to you all in the next meeting. So whether it's a presentation or a new resolution, that's kind of the difference there, where we stand at the moment.
But what we're looking for is a vote tonight
That's
to
correct.
approve those terms and allow us the final wording on the lease as long as it's non-material. Of course, yeah.
On the point that the tenant would perform the build-out, so we've signed everything and they're a go, and then they construct the inside to suit themselves, right?
That's right.
Do they, in their building the insides, have to do any approval from us, or they just, once they have their space, they can do what they want inside it?
They'd have to submit all those plans to
Oh, they
us
do.
ahead of time, and we'd have to have approval of what those would look like and what they would be. We want to make sure, any improvements going on inside would not necessarily impact the rest of the building, would fit within the character. Same would go with signage on the outside. It has to meet our standards, our sign standards, and all that stuff, so we would want to do that review and approval.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
The dollar amount we're looking to approve is the 223. Yeah.
That's the tenant approval amount.
That's
but
tenant approval.
That gets paid back in year 4, is that, or year 3, is that right?
Yeah. So that you are, yes, authorizing the $55 per square foot, and then really just the broad terms of the lease to allow us to proceed with the lease document.
Is there a timeline for them to occupy, or is that still being negotiated?
It would want, the terms that we have is that those would be completed within 6 months, so that the lease term would start within 6 months of execution date. So immediately, and I don't know if you covered this, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to black out during your presentation, but
It happens.
immediately they would start paying utilities upon execution and cover that, but while they're doing the build out, because that could, if you have construction going on there could be a significant cost in utilities, and there already is. And then at the end of 6 months, that's when their rent kicks in. But that's the kind of deadline we'd give them.
6 months. Are we including parking?
We can't. So that's an interesting question. So one of the things, because the garage was bonded for, we can't commit any parking space to a contract that's longer than like a month. So we do month to month. That's in terms of the tax exempt bond. So we're very careful in trying not to violate that. And that if we included free parking within this, we might run afoul of those bond terms. So parking is kind of separated out. We'll try to get that value in another way in the agreement, but we can't do a free
I didn't
parking.
want to see a lease space with no parking
There-
available.
There is available parking
Yes,
for
okay.
sure. It's just that they would be subject to the terms of the permitting.
And if you remember, the parking garage was put in place to stimulate build-out and tenants' usage of the trades district. So this is actually perfectly in line with that original strategy as well.
And I guess just to put a really fine point on that, the reason for that is just you don't want to be building public facilities that looks like you're actually building it for a private actor. So if we were leasing the entire garage to one company, it looks like we just built that garage for their benefit. Whereas when we allow people to purchase permits, as any member of the public is allowed to purchase permits, then you're using it for a public purpose.
It just encourages more development accordingly. And this is a separate company that graduated from the mill, bought out, and now they're basically coming into Bloomington and going to help grow some of the local workforce we're looking for.
That's right. And in fact, one of the reasons why they wanted to have the opportunity to move out after year 3, as opposed to the full 4 years, is with the anticipation they might actually outgrow the space, which would be a good problem to have. So I think conceptually we're okay with that. we didn't want to be underwater on the tenant improvements, so we wanted to make sure we had at least a mechanism to more the break even. But it's not, it wouldn't be a terrible outcome, actually, if they outgrew the space, because that would demonstrate growth and jobs.
So I have just two questions. So, and I know you talked about this a little bit, but what financial due diligence do we do on tenants?
Well, we do preliminary ones. I mean, there's not a lot in the lease agreement per se in terms of that.
Right.
So we do it a little bit offline, but not a formal process.
Okay, thank you. And then my next question is the tenant improvements, how would that be funded? So they would submit a draw, we would fund, is that how?
That's exactly,
Okay.
it would be on a reimbursement basis, where they would submit their invoices to us. They could do it, I mean, they would have the option of doing it, waiting till the end and kind of doing it in all one fell swoop, or we could do it over time.
And then we would make sure that the work that's been purported has actually been completed.
Yes, and that it complies with the plans that they submitted to us and each of the work that they had submitted.
All right, thank you.
Is there a process they have to go through from the whole city, county? They have to go through the permitting process, et cetera? Okay, just like
Yeah, nothing
any other
would
tenant
relieve
build-out?
them
Okay.
Of going through that process, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is really just the building department.
Right. It's just that 6-month time frame. It takes a little while sometimes to go through these things.
And they will also have to go through planning for signage, I think.
All right, any other questions on resolution 22-25 from the commissioners? Any public comment? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on resolution 22-25.
I move that we approve Resolution 2225.
Meyerson, I'll second.
A first and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next item of business is, do we have anything for general discussion?
The only thing is to echo what John said in regards to David Walters and his service, his ability, and if you've read his obituary and the accomplishments that we all know that he had, we should be very grateful that we've had an individual like that service in such a public capacity for so long, because it truly does make a difference. So I was reading through and I went around town and looked at some of those things. Having a man of that caliber to donate the kind of time he has, we should all be very grateful and thankful for. So.
Could not agree more. I'd also like to thank Deborah Meyerson for her service on the committee most recently. Those are a lot of fun discussions, so appreciate the extra duty on that. Anything else for general discussion? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone.